advance in terms of introduction, but ma'am has already introduced. So Monday morning, first half, talking about culture is going to be difficult. Trust me, it's going to be very difficult. This is, I don't know, the last thing I wanted to discuss today, but let's do it because it's an interesting subject. Culture, the term, as interesting it is, it's complicated. As easy it sounds, it's difficult. It's difficult to understand, digest at times. So I'm going to talk a little about it. But as they say, Monday is difficult. Why? Because in Hindi there's a saying that "Sharir yahan, Atma kahin hai." That's generally what happens on a Monday first half. I see people smiling, giggling, so which means that's true. And the same applies to me. I'm still watching Wimbledon last night. I'm watching India and England stressing over India losing 4 wickets, chasing a target of 197. So that's how it is, right? I'm still missing my weekend. People are nodding, so I'm happy that they're aligned to what I'm saying. So let's take some time in understanding this very critical, important subject called as building people-centric work culture. How many of you claim that you understand work culture? Just show of hands. Just one? Brilliant. That's good for me. Most of you don't know it, then it gives me a chance. As I said, it's going to be a difficult subject to talk about, to delve into. I have a slide, which takes away that Monday blues, which brings you here. What I want to do is the moment not now. When the next slide comes up, I want to focus hard on that subject, on that slide for max 10 to 15 seconds. All with me? 10 to 15 second maximum. Just focus hard, just stress on it. See what you understand. Wondering what this slide is, just let me tell you, this is a wonderful picture from a place called as Goa. I'm sure you all know about it. I've been told places like Goa, Udaipur are quite popular here in Gujarat, isn't it? Yeah. For people wondering what does Goa have to do with this session, let me tell you, this has nothing to do with this session. Absolutely nothing. Then why did I show this? This was more of a trick. This is more of a trick for you to get back. Right? This is for me to get your attention back. Next slide. So this is one trick that I don't know what culture, but I've taught you here is how to get the attention of your audience back where you want. So this Monday blues are gone, and I have your attention here on the system, on the subject, which is culture. As I stated, culture is a very difficult term, and if I have to explain it, it's important that we know each other. Now for me to understand and know each of you will be slightly difficult, but while my introduction was done, let me introduce a little more about me, and then that gives you a confidence that you're listening to someone who knows a bit about it for sure. Next slide. Here's a quick brief about me. So my name is Pranav Shetty. I was talking to your faculty some time back. We were talking about Mumbai. So I'm a born and brought up Mumbai boy. I've spent majority of my life in Mumbai growing up. So I know a bit about the western side of the world. I have close to 20 years of experience now, 15 plus years into leadership role. In terms of my experience in HR, I've worked across the entire life cycle of HR. Started off as a recruiter, worked on multiple recruitment assignments, and moved on to talent engagement, then got into leadership development, then got into shared services, HR tech. So be rest assured, you're listening from someone who understands HR a bit for sure. Okay, in terms of my industry exposure, I worked across multiple industries, largely IT, ITS. So you'll see some of the logos there. I work with a company called as TCS. I work with Tech Mahindra. I work with an American captive called as Allstate India, and then another leading insurance player called as Bajaj Allianz. In terms of my purpose, in terms of my interest, I'm very passionate about work. I'm passionate about people. I'm passionate about culture, and that's what brings me here. And interestingly, beyond work, I am more of a family person. I can be very boring over the weekend. I just like spending time at home with my daughter. My daughter Rania, who's 10 on paper, but then I think she already started behaving like 20. That's how kids grow fast these days. She's one of my mentor as well. She teaches me a lot of stuff. So I've learned terms like ROFL and LOL and all those stuff. stuff from her. That's helping me in terms of my culture building aspects as well. So that's a bit about me. Currently I work with a company called as Wellspin. I would like to believe that most of you guys know it. A brief about Wellspin. Wellspin is a 40-year-old brand, as old as I am. We are a 32,000 sized organization in terms of employees. Our annual revenue is close to around 45,000 crore. We work across 17 sectors. We are more than 97 entities, and 4 our companies are already listed as well. So I represent Wellspin GCC. I am the CHRO for the GCC, where GCC is nothing but it's an ITS arm of the entire Wellspin group. So we provide IT and non-IT services to the entire Wellspin group. So all the fancy stuff which happens in the plant is something what we do here based out of Ahmedabad, Vapi. So sir was talking about Vapi plant, so we're based in Vapi. We have a separate AI/ML team which does a lot of fancy AI/ML stuff based out of Hyderabad. We have employees in Ahmedabad as well. So we're close to 600 people. That's a bit about my organization. Next slide. When I asked you how many people understand culture, there was one of my friend here who just raised his hand that he understands culture. Okay, but I think it's a much confusing, it's a much detailed term which we all need to understand. So let's spend some time in decoding the term culture first. With me? Okay, all interested? Perfect. So let's understand the term culture. Now, what do you mean by culture? So I think a friend of mine who raised his hand, let me ask him, what do you mean by culture?
Like I talked about work culture, not only the particular term.
That's okay, work
so
culture.
Like in my opinion, culture is like to build something which is very sustainable and growing.
Perfect. So yeah, partly yes. So something which can be built today and can be sustained over a longer period, right? But what is the question? What can you build? Stay there. So you're still in the right direction, I would say. At least one person thinks about it. So let's talk a little about culture. What does culture or work culture? When I say culture, I'm not talking about Indian culture or not. I'm purely want to talk about work culture as such. Okay. Next slide. What does work culture mean? Does having a fancy office mean a work culture? How does this work? Take a next. Which one? This way? Leave it. Just hear my instructions. So when I say fancy office, does it mean having a good work culture? Yes, no? How many of you work, by the way? Has anybody worked in this company before getting into studies? Just three of you. So okay, I'll have to customize accordingly then. Would someone say that if it's a fancy office, it's a great work culture? I would say no. If they offer you free food, good, nice, fancy, multi-cuisine food, like the Google offers, many of our company offers free food, subsidized food. Does it account for great culture? I don't think so. You have those companies having those ping pong balls, pool tables. Does that account for a great culture? Not sure. Business travels. For somebody like me growing up, middle class, when I first joined, the first time my company sent me to Bangalore in a flight, I was like, wow. I've never been on a flight. The first time you've been on a flight, that's an experience. But does that account for a great culture? Not sure. Office parties. Ignore the liquor there. Otherwise, the stuff are there, right? The company celebrates every Friday. They have those fun and Friday and all those stuff. Do you think this is great culture? These are signs of great culture? How many say yes? Raise hand. Somehow? Yeah, this is a part of it. Yes. It does contribute. Perfect. When we say contribute to understanding of culture, there's another medium which plays a massive role in terms of what we think about culture. So look at this group. Only 3 or 4 of you are working today. Next slide. Just stay there. Go behind. So another aspect which is an invisible factor is there's a factor which shapes our perception about work culture. As I said, only 3 people in this room, 3 or 4 people have worked. Many of you have not been exposed to the work culture. So it's important that you understand how do we read culture, how do we see culture. Most of it see it through social media. One of the medium is movies. Next slide. Next tick. You've seen these movies? Anybody seen these 2 movies? Yes. Has anybody seen it here? Show of hand, please, if you have seen these movies. Rocket Singh? Yeah, it's a movie. Ranbir Kapoor was the actor. It talks about he's a salesman in a particular company selling IT hardware. It talks about the work culture there, which is full of stress. सेल्स टारगेट है, डिफिकल्ट बॉस है एंड ऑल ब्ला ब्ला ब्ला. सो पीपल स्टार्ट बिलीविंग, ओ यार जॉब करूंगा तो बॉस ऐसा ही मिलेगा, प्रेशर होगा, सेल्स में जाऊंगा तो ऐसे ही होगा. दैट्स कल्चर फॉर समवन. सो परसेप्शन बनना चालू हो गया. द नेक्स्ट मूवी इन हॉलीवुड मूवी, इफ समबडी हैज सीन द डेविल वेयर्स प्राडा. एनीबडी हैज सीन इट हियर? Yeah? What is this about? This is about a movie on fashion. Correct, ma'am? You have seen it. It's about a boss who's known to be very strict. A person who has just recently joined, full of stress in the organization. So the moment you watch such movies, you tend to feel, okay, this is corporate. ऐसे ही होगा वहाँ पे, बॉस डिफिकल्ट होगा, है ना, प्रेशर होगा, दिन रात काम करना पड़ेगा. If movies were not enough, then comes OTT. Right? OTT wasn't there some years back. How many of you spend time on OTT? Web series? All of you. Have you seen this two web series, Pictures and Cubicles? How many of you seen it? All of you? Hello. That's okay. That's okay. You've seen it? What does this web series tell you? Again, startup culture. It shows how boring a 9 to 5 job is. By the way, the 9 to 5 doesn't exist except for government organization. Most private companies work from now 10 to 6, 10 to 7, 11 to 8, whatever. But it talks about how boring a regular job is. Trust me, 98% of world population does jobs, by the way. It's not boring. Second, cubicles. It talks about politics in the organization. So it gives you a message. Even before you've landed in the corporate, you've seen these movies, you've seen this web series, it tells you why culture ऐसे ही होता है. It starts building a perception in your mind that, okay, don't trust bosses. They're going to take your happiness. Don't trust your colleagues. You can't trust them enough. They'll backbite you. They'll backstab you. That's the culture that's the impression or the perception which starts getting building. Now, if OTT and movies were not enough, then comes another animal called as social media handles. You have LinkedIn, you have Glassdoor, you have Twitter. The moment you open Twitter, I somehow, I stay away from Twitter most of the time. So I don't know, I get a feel that the moment I log into Twitter, पूरी दुनिया पे आग लगी हुई है. That's how we start feeling, because it only talks about all negative stuff. Correct, right? People come there to tag companies for complaints. People come to crib, they talk about negative things happening in the world. How many are aligned to me what I'm saying about Twitter? It's mostly negative. It's mostly negative. You go to LinkedIn, courtesy, there's this another very interesting personality which has come, which is social media influencers. Okay, they have to sell courses, they have to attract followers. They will write something which is controversial most of the time. Again, to attract followers, and we humans are slightly complicated. हमको मसाला अच्छा लगता है. We like those Ekta Kapoor kind of serials, कहानी घर घर की types on, right? So we like those content where somebody is writing a story that मेरे boss ने ऐसा किया, मेरे boss ने वैसा किया, मेरे colleague ने मुझे धोखा दिया, don't trust anyone, blah 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 blah. This one? Like this? Perfect, thank you. So all in all, what I wanted to tell you is, considering the audience, I've understood that our perceptions about culture, work culture specifically, definitely gets built or colored through mediums like this. Do you agree? Only 2-3 of you guys have worked, which means that you've seen the real side of the world, but most of you are about to get into the organization. So does this help so far with me?
Yes.
Your understanding, is my pace okay? I'm just doing a dips check right now. Is the pace okay?
Yes.
Is this fine? Perfect. I was talking about perceptions. I just spoke about perception. All I spoke right now was about the bad perception that we get. What are the top 5 bad perception that I see usually is people feel that they're burnt out. They feel exhausted. Happens?
Yes.
That's when you open social media, log rote dhode rehte hai, there's no work-life balance and blah blah blah. They're exhausted. वो रोड पे जो पत्थर फोड़ता है वो इतना थका नहीं होता जितने लोग कॉर्पोरेट में बैठ के काम करने वाले होते हैं. Heard of it, right? Another thing is disconnection, isolation. There are some people who are, and this is genuine by the way, okay? There are people who are introverts. You understand introverts?
Yes.
People don't talk much. They don't open up. They don't have much friends in office. They feel left alone. That's another angle also. They just go, come back, no friends in office, no friends. Another is fear and anxiety. Another thing which is to some extent relevant, largely in the ITS world, there's always a fear of loss of job. Another interesting thing where media plays a very interesting role is playing with your fears. आपने इंश्योरेंस की एड्स देखी है कभी?
Yes.
वो आपको डराते हैं और कुछ नहीं करते. I work with insurance companies, I know how it works. They always show death to you. Do they?
Yes.
Yeah, they always sell fear. The same fear happens in corporates as well. What if I lose my job? That mounts up to the first point, which is around stress. So that's again adds up to the culture. Guilt and regret. That's another feeling that people have about working for a company that okay, they don't have time. I missed out on time. मेरे बेटी का birthday रह गया, ये हो गया, वो हो गया. Not sure how much. It's all about priorities at times. Trust me, if it's your daughter's birthday and you tell your boss well in advance, I think it's human enough to let you go. But it's just stories built up on social media that it was my daughter's birthday, it was my wedding. There are those pictures floating that the guy is sitting in the wedding cup and mandal and is working on those laptop. Trust me, it's not true. Do you think इतना प्रेशर है कि शादी कर रहा है और लैपटॉप लेके बैठा है? There are those cases जहाँ पे सोशल मीडिया में चलते हैं जहाँ पे the guy is on the bike and working on the laptop, literally remote working from anywhere. It doesn't work like that most of the times. One odd case maybe, I don't know for what reasons. Another thing is lack of purpose. Now this is a very small set of population which work for purpose. I always say there are two kind of people. One who work for money, majority, and the work who work for purpose. And I've seen people in academics, they work for teaching as a purpose. I see people working in the pharma side, working for the betterment of people's life, saving lives and all. But that's purpose. But most people work for money. So many say that, okay, काम तो कर रहा हूँ, purpose नहीं मालूम, calling of life नहीं पता. So that's a negative perception which actually comes from all the medium that I spoke about. But why only talk negative? Let's talk a little positive as well. What people feel about culture. So these are some good emotions that people also talk about working in culture, in corporate. They feel sense of security. I feel financial secure and have a stable career path. Can you think of some companies, or maybe let me see this, earlier back in the days, our grandfathers or even our parents, they used to start in one company and used to end in one company.
Yes.
Both are right? You have groups like Tatas and the Godrej and the Birlas. आप शुरू करते थे वहीं खत्म होते थे. ये ले ऑफ नाम की कोई चीज़ नहीं होती थी तभी. They were very happy they used to work there. So people had a different view about things. Fortunately तभी social media नहीं था ना, तो LinkedIn पे social influencer नहीं थे तो ये बातें नहीं आती थी. So that's another positive. Pride and identity. People feel very respected. When I started working in Bajaj Allianz, that was my second job. My granny, who was 70 back then, she had no idea what Bajaj Allianz does. All she knew is that Bajaj. Because मेरे नाना जी के पास चेतक करके एक स्कूटी हुई करती थी. So people associate company's name with respect. When I go and tell that I worked with Tatas, I work with Wellspin, there's an amount of respect which automatically get. अब मैं अंदर data entry करता हूँ कि मैं CHR हूँ, उससे कोई फर्क नहीं पड़ता. And people enjoy that respect when you go in social gatherings, right? शादी में गए, people introduce, अरे ये हमारे दामाद हैं, ये टाटा में काम करते हैं. It gives you a sense of respect. True? Yes? No? Agree? Perfect. The next up, belongingness. I feel like I'm part of the team that values me. So now these are people. Remember I spoke about these introverts. There are companies who do well, they include them. I've had bosses where, when we go out for team dinners and parties, there are some folks who have a problem, thoda financial stretch hota hai. They spend from their own pocket, but they ensure that the team members go and attend the event. They don't tell anyone कि यार उसका पैसा मैंने भरा. But that's the culture what they build. They feel included in everything. Imagine 10 member team है, 9 लोग पार्टी कर रहे हैं, एक नहीं है because उसके पास पैसे नहीं थे देने के लिए. Right? So that's belongingness. Motivation and growth. Everybody wants to grow. Trust me, everybody wants to grow. You joined as an associate, you want to leave as a CEO. But what is the company doing there? A lot of good companies. So there's a perception, okay, I'm happy growing in this company. Many companies, I don't know if you read news, there's this female leader who just got promoted as the CEO of Unilever. You saw the news? right? She's been with the company for 30 years. She's grown. Another personality is Mr. N. Chandrasekharan, called as Chandra from TCS days. I know him from TCS because he was the chairman there. He joined in 1989 as an engineer. You know where he is today? He's the chairman of the entire Tata group. So people grow there. Tata, you'll constantly hear the word Tata in my mouth because of my love for the group, and I worked there for close to 4 years. And I think no other company has better culture than the Tata group. And for reasons that we will talk about it later. Right? So growth is also important aspect. So there are negative perception and positive perception. But why do we only hear negative perception most of the time when you talk about work culture? Any idea? Any idea why we only hear negative? Do you first of all agree that we only hear negative about work culture most of the time? You know, let us be a little interactive. You know, so when I ask you a question, if I can request you to with a show of hand, how many think we hear mostly negative about work culture? Show of hand, please. Okay, 90% of the crowd feels that it's negative. You know why? Because the good people who have good experience are busy doing good stuff. Okay, they're busy doing innovative stuff, good stuff, rather than going and venting it out on social media. They're doing good stuff, and you know, it's a natural human habit as well. If you go to a restaurant and you like the food, how many of you made a point to leave a good review there? Again, few, hardly, not even 40% of the crowd. But our human habit is, खाना अगर अच्छा नहीं लगा, सर्विस अच्छी नहीं, तो बुरा रिव्यू लिखने तो पहुंच ही जाते हैं हम. होता है, right? That's another problem with us as humans, is that we talk a lot about the negatives but very less about the positives, and that again influences work culture. And remember this line when I say that we as human, we talk more negative and less positive because this influences. Remember this line till throughout the session. I'm going to revisit that again. Now, we've been talking a lot about culture. हर company में culture कह रहे हैं. You know, I remember ma'am, professor saying that the new generation folks leave the company just because culture अच्छा नहीं था. हर company culture के ऊपर खर्चा कर रही है. They talk about culture. People like me are coming here and giving ज्ञान about culture. But why is this culture important? Why it can be so simple? Office गए, काम के, घर आ गए. Simple, right? Office गए, काम के, घर आ गए. Let's be. There are two aspects of business. There's emotional aspect. There's practical aspect. There's another aspect, economical aspect. Everybody's selfish. Business exists to make money. There is a business case of doing anything and everything a company does. So even if a company spends or invests in culture, there is a reason behind it. So let's talk the practical, the economic aspect of why culture is important. No brainer. Companies who are good or do good on overall culture, they witness less attrition. When I say lower turnover, which means attrition, people leave the organization. So if the company is good, you enjoy, again, a typical Godrej or a Tata or a Wellspin where people enjoy working, कम छोड़ते. कम छोड़ेंगे तो less impact होगा, business impact होगा. Again, a no-brainer, more profitable. If people are engaged, they enjoy coming to work. When I say word engaged, you know, always remember when I say engaged, the word means more involved in the company. So when they are more involved in a company because the culture is good, companies make more profit out of it. So again, a profitable reason is just profit. Higher innovation. You look at companies like Google. Google is like one company which everybody aspires for, including me. I've always aspired to एक बार तो Google में job करना है. Job लगते रह गई मेरी. But why Google? It's considered one of the most innovative companies in the world, isn't it? Show of hands if you think Google is one of the most innovative companies. By the way, it's number 2 right now. ChatGPT has become number 1 for being innovative. Okay. And you know why? Another reason why people talk about Google, because of pictures of fancy office, free food, garage mein stay, get your pet at home and all this stuff. Why do they invest all this thing? Because they know that if they keep the people happy, if they take care of their people will be innovative. Do you know the story that Google office in California, I don't know which location, there are few people who stay there in their parking lot, and Google allows it. because your food, your medical, your laundry, everything is taken care by the office. All they needed was a house. They can stay in the car or the caravan in the parking lot itself, so they can spend more time in office, innovative things. वो बंदा एक इंजीनियर है, वो सुबह 4 बजे 3 बजे 2 बजे जब उसको याद आ जाता है कुछ इनोवेटिव करना, वो चला जाता है ऑफिस में. So it's a win-win for Google as a company, right? It's innovative, perfect. There's a leader called as Richard Branson, Virgin Atlantic. Heard of him? He says that if employees are happy, customers are happy. You know, has it ever happened with you? Call up the customer care, वो तुमसे ज़्यादा वो रूठा हुआ होता है राइट? वो शायद अपनी बीवी से झगड़ के आया हो, या हस्बैंड से झगड़ के आई हो, या फिर उसके बॉस ने उसको डांटा हो. He or she is not happy. When the person himself is not happy, how will he serve a customer? So they say that if you take care of employees, they will take care of your employees, of your customers as well. It's most important. But I think of all those things, the next point which come up, I think it's extremely the most important thing for every corporate. Why they invest in culture is because of the fact called as employer branding. Okay, employer branding or brand visibility. Okay, why do we always keep talking about Tatas and the Godrej and the Birlas and these brands? Because they've built a brand, people enjoy working with them. Have you ever heard that the moment a brand becomes unpopular, people prefer staying away from it. People would not buy their products. Maggi is a popular product of Nestle. There was a scenario where there was lead found in the Maggi noodle packet, and suddenly it became a non-usable product. Right? Nestle then, not just product from a product perspective, from people perspective also, people prefer to work with companies who are nicer. And you believe it or not, and India has a strange problem. India doesn't have a talent problem. India has a skill problem. So on one hand, employees, people say that job nahi milti, and ask any HR, they'll say कि अच्छे लोग नहीं मिलते. I repeat, students or candidates say that job नहीं मिलती, and HRs like me say कि यार अच्छे लोग नहीं मिलते. तो जा कहाँ रहा है बीच के लोग? So there's a war of talent happening outside. Ask an HR person, he'll tell you there's a war of good talent happening outside. So it's important that I appear nice. I repeat, it's important that I appear nice to people on outside, and not just appear but be nice to people also. Why two different things? Appear and be nice. Because appear से लोग आ तो जाएंगे, they'll not stick along, and if I want them to stick with me, I have to be nice also to them. So employer branding will play a huge aspect in terms of building my culture. With me so far? Yes. Getting heavy? No? Interesting? Boring? Perfect. Glad. Okay, so now we've understood, I've set the context, I've built the base, what culture should not be, blah, 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 blah. Now let's come to the actual subject. Now the subject starts from now, in terms of how do you build a people-centric culture. One of the reasons I accepted this invite, or I even ever talk on this subject, is because I believe the students of today are the employees of tomorrow, the leaders of tomorrow, the managers of tomorrow, the CEOs of tomorrow, the founders of tomorrow, and you guys will play a massive role in building culture. Agree? Unless सिर्फ पढ़ के कुछ और करने वाले तो अलग बात है. But I'm sure you're going to be the next workforce of this country. Let's treat this as a playbook of how do you build culture. User manual or playbook, whatever you want to call it. How do you build culture from now? So this should be your mental notes. This is what I learned in my 20 years of experience working with some of the best bosses in the industry, some of the best leaders in the country, some of the best CEOs of the company. If you saw my profile, I work with some of the best companies, and I've learned it from them. I've tried to collate it in one single slide, and hence I'm presenting it back to you. So I treat this as a playbook of how do you build great people-centric culture. But let's understand what is culture. For me, it's a 3-alphabet word of how do you build a culture. It's called how. I call culture is all about the how aspect. I repeat, I say culture is all about the how aspect. Confused? Maybe these lines will clarify. It's not about what you do. It's not about why you do. It's for culture, it's how you do. Right? Let me give you an example. I have a friend of mine who used to sell credit cards at the start of his career. And the how aspect clearly tells you the culture of the organization. He used to sell credit card by even lying to the customer. So what was he doing? He was selling credit cards. But how? By lying to people. Does the how tell you the culture is good or bad? Good or bad in this case? Bad. There's a hospital which serves customer. What they do? They take care of patients. They provide medical treatment. But they lie to customers also in terms of aaye to bharti kar lo pehle. Culture good or bad? There are certain companies who don't sell medicines if the patient doesn't require. It tells about the culture. So culture is largely about the how aspect. So if you become a leader tomorrow, always remember whatever you do, the how aspect is important. When I say how, just read those 5-6 lines here. You know how decisions are made. When you make a decision, do you make it in the best interest of everyone? It's about how feedback is given. People who have worked in company, you know there are leaders जो खुले में 10 लोगों के सामने feedback देंगे, right? बुला लिया, डांट दिया सबके सामने, right? Then there are leaders who will take you in a room and give you feedback. That's the ideal way of giving feedback. So how was the feedback given is important. If it was given in front of everyone, that's an indication of a red flag. It's a red flag basically, not even indication. It's a red flag. How mistakes are handled, you know, are they treated as a mistake? You know, I've learned it as a parent growing up that don't shout at the first go. You know, I'm getting trained by my wife to manage my daughter. We've all gone through it. So how mistakes are managed, right? I mean, do they shout at you in the first mistake or tell you कि ठीक है और repeat मत करना? That's the how aspect. How people collaborate, how success is celebrated. Another element is you do something good. Do they even recognize you? And how do they recognize you? Do they recognize you in public? There's another famous line about recognition that criticize in private, recognize in public. Yes, so how do they recognize you is important. These are just 5 lines, but the how can be unlimited. How do they provide you feedback? How do they pay you? Okay? How do they treat you? Right? How do they talk to you? How do they take care of your performance management? How do they take care of your growth and development? It's all about the how aspect. Am I clear now? Making sense? Yes. It's always about the how. What and why are also important, but when it comes to culture, it's the how aspect which is important. As I said, this is a playbook. You know, this is my 20 years of experience put together on a piece of paper and served to you. So understand, when you are building a people-centric culture, there are always drivers, levers, whatever fancy stuff you may want to call. These are 5 areas that you need to look at when you build a culture. And again, this is not an HR topic, by the way. Culture building is never an HR topic. It is an organizational topic. So when I stand here, I'm not standing as a CHRO giving you gyan. I'm standing as a leader of a company giving you my words of wisdom and sharing it with you. Five key aspects without any iota of a doubt. Number one, empathy and trust. I'm going to dwell into each and every one of it in detail with the name of a company which does well, so you have some reference to it and you can also do your own homework or research later. But let me just tell you what these 5 pillars are. So number one is empathy and trust. What I mean by empathy and trust. There are some companies who invest time in understanding what the employees feel, what the employees want to say, share. Trust is they take efforts to build trust with the employees to share their feelings. That's empathy and trust. Second is purpose-driven work. Purpose-driven work is, you know, they give them a purpose why you stick with them. And this is one of the most interesting point I've loved in the entire PPD, and I'll talk at length with you. Third is growth and development, very important aspect. People feel the culture is great, growth is good if the company invests in the growth and development. Next up is recognition and feedback, no brainer. Employees like if they're appreciated, if they're given feedback. Fifth, well-being and inclusion. This is one subject, and I swear most companies don't do well. Only companies with good established people practices spend time on. I'll talk at length about this particular subject. I spoke about empathy and trust. Why empathy and trust is important? Very simple one-liner. When there is empathy and trust, people feel safe and they want to work longer with your organization. This now has a strong linkage to the attrition point that I spoke. When people feel safe, people feel happy to come, they stay long. When they stay long, they work more. When they work more, company is more profitable. They don't have to work on retention. They don't have to spend more on training. So it's a win-win. But how? Again, there's the how aspect. You know, this is a playbook. If you're the leader of tomorrow, you're the founder of the tomorrow, you're the CEO of the tomorrow, this is how you need to build empathy and this is how you need to build trust. How? One-to-one conversation. In our fancy HR language, we call this as performance check-in. And this is not कि वो चाय पे feedback दे दिया. And if somebody was working in the organization, manager feedback देता ना यार ये तूने अच्छा नहीं किया, वो तो और कर सकता था. Have scheduled periodical check-ins with your folks on a regular basis. Next up, skip level meetings or leadership coffee chats. Now these are connects the leaders. The leadership does it. Like my CEO does it. You know, he meets up with regularly with employees of a cup of coffee or something. This is a huge, I would say, a casual way of connecting with folks. So he has this habit every month. He has a coffee connect with all the new joiners. You know, we order for coffee for them, and they start chit chatting, and that's how feedback is taken, and they feel okay. I'm being heard. You know, so you talk to a bunch of new joiners, trainees straight from college, and you ask them, how was our training, how was your recruitment experience, did the recruiter make you wait long, were you given feedback, were you treated well, did you get all the information? You know why the feedback CEO is taking all this feedback? Sorry?
Build a good culture.
Build a good culture, fine, but he's also being a little selfish there. He's just trying to take feedback on his existing processes. Are the processes working fine? Can he make it little better? See, at the end of the day, in the HR world, we focus on an aspect called as experience, employee experience. So he's trying to understand, are my processes working fine? At the same time, trying to build a relationship with the student, so not student, but with the employees as well. So they know that, okay, he has given a feedback. Then we have also another element called as you said it, we did it. In the sense, you've passed on a feedback, we've taken the feedback, we've worked out our feedback and done something, and then we publish saying that you said this, we've done this. So that builds a confidence in the person that, okay, I can share this. When I connect with employees over skip session, I ask them, leader se kuch problem hai, HR se kuch problem hai. They say that, interesting feedback which was given to me, I have employees working in night shift. And I didn't realize that my learning and development team was setting up trainings around 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, or between 1 to 2 or 1 to 3. And my night shift folks used to come at 6 o'clock. And unfortunately, those guys could never attend training. And we didn't realize it because it was just 20 people working in American shift, because we support Wellspin US as well. That is an example of listening to people. And the moment they decided, this is a problem, blah, 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 we shifted our trainings from 1 to 4 o'clock. So I said that you may want to come a little early, which is okay, right? मतलब मेरी 6 की shift है, मैं 4-5 बजे आ सकता हूँ. But nobody will be able to come at 1 o'clock or 12 o'clock because they're sleeping, because they're going to work in the night time. This is an example of taking feedback or coffee connect sessions. Open town halls and AMA session. Town halls are pretty common. You would have heard, what we're doing is like a typical example of a town hall. A CEO addresses all his employees, and he asks questions and people ask for it. AMA is another interesting thing which is coming up. AMA is Ask Me Anything. So then companies moved online. There are call centers, you can call and tell your feedback. Then there are email IDs. So in our company, there's an email ID which is only accessed by me and my CEO. So any employee has a complaint, can only write to us, and that feedback or that issue or complaint only stays with me and Nitin. So that's how many companies do it. So companies or employees feel comfortable sharing their concern, and that's a hallmark of a great culture. Okay. And another thing which is very interesting, not many companies do, is they invest in empathy and emotional intelligence training. We've all heard about intelligence. There's a new term called as emotional intelligence which is coming up. Heard of it? Emotional intelligence? EI. EI कहते हैं उसको. What is it? Any idea? Anybody knows EI? What is EI? Can somebody give a mic?
Hello. Sir, good morning, sir. Yeah, emotional quotient, जो emotional intelligence आप
EQ, EI, same stuff.
मेरे हिसाब से मुझे जो लगता है कि आप किसी इंसान से कितनी जल्दी रिलेट कर सकते हैं, उसकी प्रॉब्लम समझ सकते हैं. एम्पैथी जो होती है, किसी को अगर आपको आपके सामने किसी को चोट लगी है तो आप उससे रिलेट करते हैं, आपको उसके बारे में दुख हो रहा है कि नहीं हो रहा, वो होता है.
Perfect. I think I have this something which I'll give it to you later. At least you made a good attempt to it. So emotional intelligence is extremely important. When you manage people, EQ is extremely important. How you deal with emotions. People have become very sensitive and emotional. So if there's a person who's not able to take your feedback, how do you give a feedback? Not everybody takes feedback the same way. I'll give you my own experience. When I talk, I generally prefer being candid. I was giving feedback to 4 of my team members in a particular assignment. I realized one of the girls started crying because she felt a little embarrassed getting feedback in front of the other 3. So my EQ tells me that you should know the person by person, what works, what doesn't work. Leaders have to be emotionally intelligent on how to deal with people's emotion. So companies are now investing in training the managers on how to give feedback. Trust me, it's an in thing these days. Because EQ is not equal in everyone. आप intelligent हो सकते हो, but आप zero हो सकते हो on EQ. You can have all the general knowledge of the world, but you don't know how to talk to people, you are low on EQ or IQ. IQ नहीं sir, yeah, IQ. You understand? So it's extremely important. So if you have to be the leader of tomorrow, you have to be the CEO of tomorrow, please read a bit about EQ or IQ. So companies are investing. So that's a bit about empathy and trust. Was it interesting? Yeah? Companies invest time and money in spending efforts on building empathy and trust within the organization. Yeah.
Emotionally, you are in charge of your own feelings. Does it do that? That I also have to.
Yeah, a very valid point, ma'am. Yes, you are right. I had a fight with my spouse in the morning. Do I get it to office? No, you shouldn't be. Right? Leave it at the door. The moment you punch in, your emotions are out. An important, thank you for bringing that up. I keep saying this, we are humans, we have emotions. But at work, you can't be emotional. You can't be bringing your emotions to work, but have emotions. See, we're humans, you're dealing with people. You're not dealing with machines, right? You're not dealing with furniture. So when you're dealing with humans, deal with emotions. But how? Again, the aspect is how. Of how you deal with them is important. वो बंदा रो रहा है, मैं उसको feedback देते रहूँ. नहीं ना, थोड़ी देर के लिए शांत कर सकता हूँ. देना ज़रूरी है feedback. I mean, I was not wrong in giving her feedback. It's how she took it was a bit of problem. So I had to calm her down. I said, ठीक है बेटा, you go, we'll talk later. So I went to her and बुलाया, gave her the aspect of why I do it, how I do it, blah blah blah, and it was sorted. But it's important how you deal with that person at that point of time. Fair enough? Is the pace? Somebody is calling me out. Okay, perfect. Is the pace okay? Again, doing a diff step. Because it gets interesting and boring at the same time. And I say both of it because culture is very interesting at the same time, very boring subject as well. So far, so good? Ma'am, is the pace okay? Okay, perfect. This is one company which really does well on empathy. No surprises, no prizes for guessing. And I've worked there, so I know it. Perfect. So, quick one. So, we spoke about Tata and I've spoken enough, so I'm not going to invest time here. Next up is growth and development. Why is growth and development important? People stay with companies, people feel happy if they're growing. Very simple. Read this line, you'll understand. People don't want to be treated like furniture, right? They want to move. Like this stuff hasn't been moving for some time. But that's not an employee. That's not a student. Yeah? We humans like to grow. We like to move ahead. I joined as an associate. I want to be a senior associate. I want to be a team leader. I want to be a manager. I want to be a VP. Everybody has aspiration. When I started as an HR executive or a recruiter, my aspiration was simple. By 40, I want to be a CHR. I loved working with an organization which invested in my learning and my growth. Right? Everybody likes companies which invest in the learning and growth. Let's talk again about the how aspect. If you are the leader of tomorrow, if you have to build a people-centric culture revolving around growth and development, how will you do it? And what are the best practices working in the industry? So there's something called structured mentorship and coaching. Everybody understands mentorship? Understands mentorship? Have you heard of a new concept called as reverse mentorship? Suna hai? No? Yes? How many have heard reverse mentoring? The question is for all the professors also. Reverse mentoring suna apne? What is reverse mentoring? If anybody knows? Brilliant. I do reverse mentoring with my daughter. That's what I was saying some time back. Reverse mentoring is basically with a person with a lesser experience mentors a person with a higher experience. Why? Exactly the examples which I gave about NJ, my boss, and the younger generation. People like me, or my bosses, or even seniors, we've been working for 20-30 years. We may not know what's the in thing. When my daughter tells me that that her vibe doesn't match with a girl, I didn't know what she means. And I said, do you mean you don't get along? She said, yeah, dad, that's the in thing. That's the same thing how happens in offices as well. You know, the seniors, imagine 30-40 years जिनको हो गया experience or the verge of retirement, उनको क्या पता social media use कैसे किया जाता है? उनको नहीं पता कि social media से employer branding कैसे सुधारी जाती है. So leaders also need growth. They also need learning. So reverse mentoring is very popular these days. But mentorship is very important. And I advise you, urge you, whatever you call it, have at least one good mentor in life. All of you, everybody sitting in this room needs to have at least one good mentor in life. A mentor is extremely important because he or she will guide you throughout your life on what needs to be done. Coaching is okay. You know, coaching is an ongoing effort. I would say, sorry, mentoring is an ongoing effort. Coaching is like a short-term intervention that people do. So there are a lot of people who need coaching on behaviors, coaching on business. So a lot of companies invest. So we invest in coaching some of our business leaders on behavior, something like an EQ. So we have dedicated coaches. We have emotional coaches, by the way. There are coaches called as emotional coaches, which train you on behaviors, on how do you deal with people. There are certain business leaders who are great with numbers, who are great with businesses, but when it comes to managing people, they struggle. So companies invest in coaching and mentoring programs. Continuous learning and training programs. Another important term which has come in the market called as MOOC. M-O-O-C. Suna hai? M-O-O-C. It means massive open online courses. Right? Gone are those days where people would want to sit in a classroom, just the way you're sitting right now. People want to do it online, on the go. So company invest in learning platforms. What is LinkedIn Learning? Right? Heard of Upgrade? Yeah? Multiple learning platforms. So again in Wellspin we give them access to learning platforms. You do it on the go. I've seen people doing courses while they're traveling back in cabs going back home. 40 minute का एक course कर लिया मैंने on Power BI dashboard कैसे बनाते हैं on the mobile. So people invest in ongoing learning. So that's one. So great companies with great culture do that. Clear pathing and internal mobility and job rotation. I love the next 2 points. Good companies also offer internal mobilities. What do you mean by internal mobility is that I'm in X function right now. In some years I realize I want to go to other function. Let's say I'm a tester. You guys understand IT, right? Information technology. I'm a tester today. I want to be a developer. I'm a developer. I want to be a product manager. I'm in operations. I want to be in HR. I'm in HR. I want to be in business. So after some years, you realize that your choices and interest in life have changed.
Many of the HR leaders today in the industry, the senior leaders, have come from operations background also. So good companies with great culture, great people-centric culture, allow job rotations within. So at Wellspun, we also have a job rotation. I say that after 1 year, if you want to move out of your current role, I welcome you to move to another any team. You know what happens by that? Trust me, I am again being very selfish here as a company. That's one attrition saved for me. There's always a selfish motive behind when a company does something. And we're all selfish, right? You're thinking about yourself, company will think about herself, HR has to think about ourselves. But in the larger interest, it helps the overall culture. Because if I don't allow the job rotation, वो अंदर नहीं तो बाहर job ढूंढ लेगा. So at the end of the day, I'm going to lose the candidate. So I might as well let the person stay within the organization. So again, to the same example, the Hindustan Unilever example or N. Chandra example I gave, they started N. Chandra, I mean, we used to call him Chandra because he started as an engineer. Today, he is the CEO of the entire Tata group. He manages a company which produces steel. He manages a company which makes beverages. Does he know anything about tea making? But somebody gave him a chance, right? So it's all about opportunities, and the companies give opportunities. Clear career pathing. There is something called as career framework. So we have something called as a career framework which tells my person that if you join today, for you to be the CEO, it takes 17 and a half years. 17 years, 6 months to be precise, and this is how will you grow. You are here today. If you perform at this particular performance, you will become an associate manager. If you do at this particular rate, you will become a manager. Then you will become a business head. Then you will become a senior VP, blah, 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 blah. And if I have that clarity, and good organization with good people-centric culture have that clarity, they tell these people, if you want to be a team leader, everybody asks you what is your short-term goal, आप 5 साल में अपने आप को कहाँ देखते हो? बड़ा एक cliched सवाल है, but where do you see yourself in 5 years? And somebody says that I want to be a team leader. Then the next question is, how do you be a team leader? So they show you a growth path. If you achieve this much performance, in 3 years you can become a senior associate. Another 18 months you'll become a team leader. So there's a what to it. Sorry, it's the how to it. कि मैं कैसे बन सकता हूँ? Remember, I will keep using the word how. So they always tell you, I want to grow. How? This is how you grow. So good companies have that how sorted out well in advance. So sort your how to do it. Okay. Certifications and development workshop. Many companies invest in certifications. So we at Wellspun have something called a certification reimbursement policy, similar to many IT, ITS companies that you want to do a certificate program outside, go ahead, do it. I'll fund it. So like 50,000, 60,000, 1 lakh, depending on different companies to company, they have a certain limit. Now, good companies who do this, I mean companies who do it well, most of the IT, ITS companies do it well because they see IT is an industry where just select any option and enter. Excuse me. So most IT companies do it. Why? Because in IT your skills get obsolete every 6 months. Technology is changing every 6 months. One and a half year back there was nothing called as prompt engineering. सुना था कभी prompt engineering करके कुछ नहीं था. Chat GPT didn't exist, so prompt engineering didn't exist. So every 6 months technology changes, so you have to continuously do IT certification. That's why most IT companies have this policy of certifications. This is by far one of my interesting subjects is purpose-driven work. Companies tell you what is your purpose. They survive well. Is there anyone in this room जिसका कोई relative friend pharma में job करता हो, pharma industry में job करता है? Okay, 3 of you. Go and ask your friend, because I also have a friend. Go and ask your friend, okay, what do you do? So he'll say I am either an accountant or I am an app developer. I have a friend who is an app developer. So I asked him, what do you do? He said, I develop an app in a pharma company. The CEO also asked him the same thing. What do you do? He said, I develop an app in the company. The CEO said, do you know what is the purpose of your role? He said, no, I am just an IT guy. I develop an app. He said, no, you're developing an app which saves people life. So your purpose of the company is to save people's life. Most pharma companies exist for a purpose. You know, they exist so they can make medicines available, affordable, saves life, make people healthy. There's another company called as Amul. Suna aapne? Heard of Amul? The one who makes butter and all of it. You know what's the purpose of the company? The purpose of the company is upliftment of dairy farmers. That's the purpose of the company. Now, these are very few companies which are very purpose driven. Money making is an aspect of it for sure, but purpose is a different story. So if you know the purpose, there's some companies they really do it well in terms of telling the purpose. So I'm not going to go through each and every line, but how do you tell the purpose? You know, tell them day in, day out. Tell them from day one when they join, what is the purpose of the company? Heard of ISRO? People working in ISRO are absolutely passionate. They're crazy. Heard about NASA? These are examples of purpose-driven companies. But trust me, the people who make it in this organization are rare, far and few. And they're purely driven by purpose. So if you want to build an organization, talk about the purpose, why you do it as a CEO. So when if you're working for a company which works towards those applications of the healthify me and all of it, the purpose is to make people healthy. That's the whole purpose of the company. So if good companies, they clearly tell the employees, "Bhai, hamara kaam kya hai?" It's not just money making. They tell very clearly what is their purpose in life. Most pharma companies, as I said, work towards this particular model. Very interesting is recognition and feedback. No brainer, absolute no brainer. Be it a candidate, be it a student, be it an employee, everybody likes recognition, including professors as well. Correct? Everybody likes profession. If you're doing a good job as a student, and the professor comes and says, "Arey, great stuff here, good job." You know what you'll do? The next time you'll try to work a little more harder and do a little even better. The same thing applies in corporates as well. If you want to build a people-centric culture, have a culture of recognition. It's extremely important building a culture of recognition. And how do you do it? You know, again, to the sometime back I said, criticize in private, appreciate in public. So I have a habit, and I learned it from one of my bosses. Whenever I start my team meetings, I start with appreciation. So this is a common call out to all my team members saying that, is there any appreciation somebody wants to give it? So they say, I have a team member called Sadhana. Sadhana will say that, okay, XYZ Riya helped me last week in a particular assignment. I want to thank Riya. Imagine the mood of the call. It starts with appreciation. The mood is really good. Now Sadhana and Riya are good friends today, trust me, because of these small habits. So start out with those appreciation, peer-to-peer recognition platform. Read or invest in researching platforms like XOXO. Okay, there is platform like XOXO, Advantage Club. Now appreciations have also gone online. Earlier, ऐसे होते थे platform में, good job Vijay, good job this, good job that. Now companies have started investing in online platforms like XOXO and Advantage Club. These are like your in-house Instagram social media pages. So we invest in XOXO. At Wellspun we have XOXO as a platform. So sitting here right now, if I want to appreciate Riya for a particular stuff, I tag her on that particular platform, say Riya, thank you, and blah blah blah. And that appreciation goes to all 600 people. Then all that 600 people will start commenting on her, on that post saying good job, blah blah blah. And imagine Riya's mood for that day. She's on cloud 7, cloud 9 or whatever that cloud number is. That's appreciation, right? That builds an environment of positivity. Peer-to-peer we spoke, celebration of milestone and achievement, reward programs, incentives. I want to just call out this one element which most companies miss, and I think Wellspun really does it well, and I can shamelessly take the credit for it because I had designed it. This is an important aspect which most companies miss is family. So we have this initiative where when any of our employees get promoted, we send a thank you gift hamper to their family. Okay, not many companies do it, and I take pride in doing it because thank you. Because, for whatever the employee does, the family also has a great support behind. The employee goes through a tough time, the family supports them throughout it. So we send them a gift hamper as a moment of appreciation, and that really works out well. What I've done, again being very selfish, what I've done is I've connected the family with my brand. I sent them a note, a customized note, and this is an extremely heart-touching moment for me. When one of my team members got promoted, we sent the gift hamper. Her father-in-law has now framed the letter. So we sent a thank you note. He has framed the letter and kept it in the hall, unke main hall mein. So now the daughter-in-law is like technically the star of the family. Now unki domestic issues start ho gaye, alag baat hai कि the son and the daughter-in-law started fighting कि तू star बन गई है, मेरा बाप मुझे ही नहीं ज़्यादा जानता है, and all of it types. But think of it that suddenly the employee becomes a superstar. Everybody wants to be recognized, right? वो है ना कि घर पे आपकी कोई वैल्यू ना हो, बट पब्लिक में वैल्यू इज एक्सट्रीमली इंपॉर्टेंट. ब्रांडिंग. द मोमेंट आई मेक him or her a superstar, he feels appreciated. He suddenly starts getting more connected to the company, motivated to do more. And my family, his family also knows the company now. They proudly go on and tell, Mara Dikri, Mara whatever those fancy terms are, Gujarati terms are, works with this brand. Now I'm building my employer branding. This is how employer-centric companies do it. And interesting thing, we don't appreciate or recognize performances. Most companies, they recognize performances. We recognize behaviors also. May not look from my body shape, but we also recognize people for losing weight. We recognize people for behaviors. If you've done a course, so I recognize my top 3 people who spend the maximum in learning hours. I recognize them. I pay them 5,000 rupees per month for the top 3 learning hours. So I'm recognizing behaviors. I'm recognizing people. Thank you. We're recognizing people for helping each other, peer to peer. So look at ways you can appreciate people, because it's not always about performance. Not everybody is in the top rank. Behaviors are also important. Innovation is important. If you innovate something which is new to the organization, we appreciate them. So there are different ways of appreciation. Recognition is on top of the list for sure. This is what I said when I was talking, that this is a unique and one of the rarest thing companies do, and good companies with a great culture invest in this. And this is well-being and inclusion, subject which is now coming up in India. You go to the US and the Europe side of the world, this is existing for years, but we are a little insensitive towards this particular subject. So I want to spend some time and I want your attention to this subject, because as the leaders of tomorrow, तुम्हें ये समझना बहुत ज़रूरी है. Okay, so heard of DEI, diversity, this new things which are coming up in the world. That's do it yourself. This is DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion. Okay, very interesting subject. Wait, I'll walk you through. Now, why it is important? Again, let me not jump here. When people feel healthy, they feel included. You remember the example I gave about one of my team member not having money, but the manager pitching in and feeling included. Trust me, वो जान दे देगा अपने मैनेजर के लिए. उस स्टेज पे था वो उस टाइम पे, because मैनेजर ने मुझे इंक्लूड कर लिया, blah blah blah. When companies invest in your wellness, now the problem with India is our understanding of wellness is very limited. Okay, there is a concept called as mental wellness. Do you know that? Heard of it? In India, nobody talks about mental wellness. You talk about going to a counselor, people will feel you're mad. Counseling is very huge back in US, in Europe. People do it on a regular basis. Marriage counseling, business counseling, whatever, because they want to talk to a neutral party. So companies have now started investing in wellness also. Wellness generally in India में 3 type के होते हैं. Physical wellness, that's all about losing weight and building muscles or all of it, blah blah. There is mental wellness that we are talking about, and there's third, which is financial wellness. Did you ever know about it? Yes, no? Perfect. Companies have started investing time and spending on these 3 wellnesses: mental, physical and financial. What is financial? Financial is basically teaching them how to invest money, how to grow their money. That's important. So how do companies do it? So you have mental and wellness programs, you have fitness and health lifestyle benefits. Now another thing which is picking up well is the online applications. So there are applications which have Zumbas and all those programs. You have EAP, Employee Assistance Program. There are these landline numbers which you can call them at any point of time. And most of this suicide, I don't know if you know, but most of the suicidal cases happen between 12 o'clock to 4 o'clock. So these are the times where we recommend people, if you're feeling low or you're having bad thoughts, just call up on this customer care number. There are these certified counselors who will guide you. And if it's a potential loss of life situation, then they reach out to us so that so and so person can commit a suicide. So companies with great culture invest in all these things. It's important. And I know many organizations, colleges and institutions are also starting doing it. But good companies invest in their wellness of their employees. Very, very important. The next up is inclusion, and I wanted attention to it. This 4th point, employer resource groups and support networks. As I said, back in US and Europe, terms such as LGBTQ are very common. Very, very common. India it is still picking up, and families feel a little ashamed if one of the members says that I'm a lesbian or I'm a gay or I'm a bisexual. It's more to do with our culture, country's culture. But this is picking up. This is really picking up. So companies with great people-centric culture have started forming ERGs. ERGs are nothing but employee resource group. Okay. Interesting, I realized when I was making this PPT, in the last 2-3 years, I've technically written posts on most of the subjects. Maybe that is the reason why these ideas came into my head as well. ERGs are nothing but clubs. Lion Club करके एक होता है, सुना है किसी ने? Lion Club, Laughing Club सुना है? वो कुछ middle age और high age के लोग सुबह आके पागलों की तरह हंसते हैं. This is what the perception is, पागलों की तरह हंसना. Right? And then I intentionally use this word because ERGs also are like that. So ERG is employee resource group, and the term is employee resource group. So what happens is corporates allow employees to form clubs within the organization, and these are people with similar interest in a particular subject. So if there are a set of people who are interested in uplifting employees with disabilities, so they can form a group. They work towards disability as a subject. There are groups, like I had in my previous company, I had a group called as Pride. So Pride will work towards the upliftment of the LGBTQ community. Not necessarily people have to be from this community to be a part of ERG. I was an ally there. An ally is someone who supports them. Right? So this is how it works. So many companies, great culture wala companies, they have resource groups. They allow such discussions also. Right? So this is something very unique, and I want to leave you with this thought that go back, invest, and read about ERGs as a subject, because as a leader of tomorrow, you will have resources who come from these communities. You'll have people from LGBTQ. As much as I talk so proudly, I've been consistently doing one mistake for the last 45 minutes that I've been talking. I only refer to people as he and she. I don't know if you realized, but there's a new element called as they also. So it's gone beyond he and him, he and his. There is they also, because there are some people who don't identify with the gender. There's something called as trans as well. So I leave this is a subject for another day. You can talk about the entire day. But people with companies with great culture invest in the wellness of the people, different type of wellnesses, and also invest in inclusion, in diversity. They get people from different diverse background and they let them survive there. For whatever they are, they let them survive and include them in the company. TCS, I've spoken enough, so I'm not going to talk about it. If you ever get time, invest a little about reading about Godrej Industries. They do fantastically well on inclusion. Fantastically well. And I know it for a fact because my friends work in Godrej. They have an entire company which is, an entire department which works towards LGBTQ. Their branding, employee corporate communication, branding team is filled with people from the LGBTQ background. They hire a lot of people from people with disability. Tata, for a fact that I put it, because back in 2015, when people didn't even think about LGBTQ, Tata back then had built up gender-neutral toilets. So if you ever happen to come to our Wellspin office, I think Avni had come once, but I don't know whether I showed her to her. We have a gender-neutral toilet. I have 2 people from the LGBT community, and for them, it's important that you have your own toilet. As weird as it sounds, I'm a man. Let's say I'm just giving an example. I'm a man, but I feel like a woman from inside. Which toilet do I go in? I can't go to the women's toilet because I appear like a man. I can't go to the men's toilet because andar se I'm a woman. So what do? Companies with great culture have started building infrastructure. So if you ever come to my office, you will see a gender-neutral toilet. Most companies do it. And I learned this from Tata. This was way back in 2015 where they started building gender-neutral toilets. They started hiring people from LGBTQ. They basically started hiring people from transgenders community as drivers. The biggest problem with the transgenders community is that they're not educated enough. At the max, what they do is वो signal पे भीख मांगेंगे, and वो भीख इसलिए मांगते because उनको कोई job नहीं देता. So Tata community started working with the trans community, saying that we'll offer you jobs as security guards, because they're powerfully built up. They can drive and all. So that's how they started doing this, and I have picked up from there. Whatever I learned, I'm trying to implement. So companies with great people-centric culture, because these are people, right? LGBTQ, people with disability, female, male, trans, everybody's people. So with great companies, with great culture, they do that. With me so far? कुछ नया सुना आपने ये सब चीजें? चलो, perfect. I'm glad. Now comes the most important and the $1,000,000 question. $1,000,000 question. Who's responsible for the culture? I want to show off hands here if you understand. Who's important for the culture? Who's responsible for the culture? Now I see some great hands. More hands. Somebody at the back. You can. I think without the mic also you can speak.
So both companies and employees are responsible for the culture.
She says everybody is responsible. Okay. So is it the management? Is it the leaders, the CEOs and whatever your team leaders and team managers? The HR? And the employees? You can't be gossiping in the same company and say कि यहाँ का culture ही खराब है. Correct ना? We part of that same culture also. तो इधर पीछे खुसफुस करेंगे यार वो तो ऐसा ही है वो तो वैसी और फिर बोलेंगे culture खराब है ना. तो everybody has to work. So you're right when you said that everybody is responsible. That's the exact line. Everybody has a role to play. Not everybody is responsible. Everybody has separate roles to play in building a culture. And what are those roles? Each of them has a role, right? Your management has, when I say management, I'm talking about the promoters, the owners of the company. They set the tone. Like the Tatas, they've set the tone that we are employee-centric. We are working towards the development of the community. We want to give it back to the community. That's the tagline of the Tata Group. Say that we want to give it back to the community that we earn from. So if you know a bit about Tatas, 2/3 of the money goes back in community building. That's the culture, right? What's the responsibility from the leaders? So if the tone has been set at the top, the leaders have to model that behavior. Very straightforward, simple. What is HR responsible for? Then the HR is responsible for designing policies, ensuring those are implemented at the ground level, people feel included. And what's the responsibility of the employee? The most important is live the values, share feedback and support peers. Those last two lines are extremely important for me, which is share feedback and support peers. I gave you an example about NJ, my boss, or my sessions, or the leaders. They'll always ask you, "Kya chal nahi raha hai? What can be done better?" And I've seen employees जो बोलेंगे नहीं, but पीछे जाके complain करेंगे. How do you improve culture? How do you build culture? How do you improve an organization if you don't speak? And as I said earlier, the problem with our company, our culture is that we crib more and we talk less about good stuff. And culture is a subject which is very close to my heart because I strongly believe that majority of your time, and I repeat, majority of your time with your eyes open are spent at work. Am I correct? Hear me very carefully, majority of your time spent with your eyes open are at work. So if you want to build a great culture, speak and help your colleagues. Life will be slightly better for sure. I love quotes. If you ever give you my mobile, I save a file which has more than 500 odd quotes. This is one of my favorite quotes. It says that Rome wasn't built in a day. Heard of it? Yes, sir. Similarly, I say people-centric cultures cannot be built in a day. तो अगर आज सीख के अगर हम आज उड़ गए कि चलो कल से कल्चर बनाएंगे, नहीं होगा. It will never happen. It takes time. It can't be built overnight for sure. Right? So this is my takeaway to all of you that culture can't be built overnight. It takes some time. And when I say culture, it's not just for the organization. Yeah, even your college is what do you call an organization, right? So you have to help your peers. You have to give it feedback to your faculty. Again, when I say give feedback, don't forget the how aspect. Don't crib and complain. Put it positively. Put it in such a manner that things can be improved further. Make sense? If you want to learn more about culture, I leave you with some resources here because whatever I could share with you is basis my 20 years of experience, but that's just a small drop of the entire ocean. There's so much stuff about culture building and all. You can refer to this logos, what I've said here. So Great Place to Work is a body which assesses different corporates across the globe. They audit their people practices and then they certify them if you are a great place to work or not. So you go to their website, they will tell you all about the best people practices. Some of the best people practices here, I can tell you eyes closed, they were there in their records as well because we've been doing this for some years. SHRM is another global body for, so it's SHRM stands for Society for Human Resource Management. All the best people practices are updated there. People Matters is another HR magazine. It's a global HR magazine. You can read it on a regular basis to stay updated what's happening in the market. And last but not least, HR Katha. While People Matters is very global, HR Katha is like a Desi magazine for us, which talks about the things about India labor market. So these are good stuff. So with this I'm almost done, but as I said, I'm a man of quote. I'm a Bollywood movie fan as well. So I watch a lot of Bollywood movies because as an HR person or as a leader, in generally as a leader, I think I get a lot of learning from it. And this is my quote. This is one of my favorite movies. I don't know if you've seen this. Seen this movie? Sorry, everyone? How many have not seen it? You know, okay, perfect. Not seen. This was not seen. My God. You guys need to see this. But hear me why I'm saying this, why this is one of my favorites. So this movie has had a huge influence in my life for the fact that growing up as a child, as I said, coming from a middle class family, everybody desires कि यार बहुत पैसा कमाना है, तो एक basic intent होता है कि इंडिया के बाहर चलो. I don't know why, but I got influenced with this movie. I said, I never ever will I go out of India, and I stay back here in India. So that's a different subject, but then what's the connection here? So this is line which मुझे रट्टा हो गया. You know कि Shahrukh Khan says that, you know, मैं नहीं मानता कि हमारा देश perfect है, blah blah blah. You know, but मैं इतना मानता हूँ कि, you know, this देश can be better. Replace the word desh by college, organization, company, and apply it. It's the same everywhere. You know, no country is perfect. I don't want to sound very patriotic or emotional here, but that's practical. No country is perfect. No parents are perfect. No organization is perfect. No culture is perfect. It just has to be made perfect. And everybody has a role to play. So go back to my slide of four pillars of who all is responsible. Remember those 5-6 drivers of culture of what I spoke. And so this is my playbook as a gift to all of you, that how do you build a people-centric culture? As complicated as it sounds, it's not. Always remember it's about the how aspect. Remember that page, one slider which is said, how do you give feedback? How do you recognize people? How do you take care of people and blah blah blah. And I promise you, it doesn't take much effort. It doesn't require much money. All it requires is a intent. With that, I end the show, and you know, I just give you my coordinates. If in case you want to stay in touch with me, happy to stay in touch. Do follow Wellspin. Most of the stuff which I spoke is my experience. I've poured it into Wellspin as well. Some initiatives are, you can just read our website and you'll get to know about them as well. So I think with this I'm open for questions, if any, if that's the format, or yeah, perfect. Quite a few hands are already up. Cool. Thank you. I hope it was not too Ganish for you and you got some learnings from it. Yes, no? Can I have a show of hand? Did you enjoy? Not enjoy? Okay. I'm glad. Questions? Who wants to go first?
Can we have a loud round of applause first?
You know, I've spent 5 years here in Gujarat, and I've seen few companies where culture keeps changing from generation. दादा ने कंपनी स्टार्ट की थी, बेटा लेता है, अब पोते का टाइम आ गया है. So culture keeps changing as people come in because the purpose changes. Let's say 50 years back when दादाजी ने स्टार्ट किया था, the purpose was making money. When the beta took off, his thought was expansion. Now when the pota has taken over, his thought would be impact. And none of the thoughts are wrong, by the way. It is just the thought process of the promoter at that point of time. So culture keeps changing. You know, so another example is there was this gentleman called as Cyrus Mistry, which had come into the Tata group. Did you guys know this? Did you know that? Cyrus Mistry is no more, by the way. So Cyrus Mistry was appointed as the settle on. Cyrus, you can sit. I'll talk and you can get back. So Cyrus Mistry was appointed as the chairman of Tata Group when Mr. Ratan Tata retired. I was with TCS at that point of time. The culture suddenly changed. For the first time ever, Tata started laying off people. And that brought Mr. Ratan Tata back again to the group. Because that was not a culture. He was a man of people. He would want to take care of people than money. He was not bothered about money. That's how Cyrus Mistry was taken off. Ratan Tata ji came back again. Then was Mr. N. Chandra picked up as a chairman of the group again. So different people have different thoughts. Nobody is right, nobody is wrong. Cyrus Mistry in his own thought process was more financially centric. He thought that X number of people are not adding value to the company, it's okay to let them go. The way Mr. Tata ji thought was, it's not about the person losing the job, it's the family getting impacted. So the culture has different definition and it changes with every generation. What I talk today, when my daughter grows up after 10 years, I think her definition of culture will be different. When you guys get into a company 3 years, 5 years later, the culture might be different. It changes practically every year, every 6 months. As technology changes, everything changes. Yep.
So, like you've talked about like negative things about like corporate world going on as of now. So, is like should an organization do something about it, or just be practical and going there and focus on that?
No, so you can't take negativity. I as funny as it sounds, running our corporate is like running a family. Okay, people might hate me for saying this. वो सबकी फैमिली होता है ना, एक रूठा हुआ चाचा, ताऊ जी, एक आंटी जो कभी कुछ नहीं होती, एक कजिन जो हमेशा क्रिप करता रहता है. But the head of the family, the Dadaji, never leaves them, right? He manages his own way here and there. So if you have to survive, you'll have to start working towards it. You'll never be able to eliminate everything. You'll always have those elements who will creep, cry, complain. Again, I spoke so much about TCS. Are you saying, or even Google for that fact, are we saying that all 100% of the employees are happy there? No. You go back on social media or Facebook, there's a page called as TCS Confession. रोते लोग वहाँ पे, मतलब literally they do verbal diarrhea, as the word is. They complain so much about the Tata group. So you'll never have this scenario where you'll have 100% happy group. कभी नहीं हो सकता. So वो कभी भी रहेंगे. But as the Tata group does it, they keep doing the good work. करते रहो, आगे देखा जाए.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. I'll just take this one from here. Yes, my friend. Hey, you're audible. Yeah, it's on.
Hello. My question is, everyone says that if you are going into HR, you need communication. But apart from communication, correct me if I'm wrong, or I'm missing something, that you need to be humble, soft-spoken, and talk. You have tolerant power. Like my father is in marketing, and from him I have listened the stories of HR that people shout on them, but they never lose the cool.
So your question is, an ideal qualities of an HR? An ideal quality of an HR is, you should have common sense. And that's for all functions, by the way. It's not just for HR. Communication is an overrated subject in India. Trust me, you go to China, most people don't speak English. You go to Japan, most people don't speak English. You have a thoda sa fancy fad ho gaya. I can speak English, I can speak British English, I can speak American English. But I still prefer, when I'm at my comfort, I speak, मेरे मुंह से हिंदी आ ही जाता है. That's the way it came out right now. So communicate in the language that people understand. When I speak to the Britishers, मेरा tone automatically change हो जाता है. वाशा आ जाता है. And when I'm talking to the American, tone automatically changes. Because you have to communicate with the सामने वाला person. You're working in a promoter-driven company. उधर English झाड़ के क्या करोगे? Communication is important because you deal with different set of stakeholders. So be ready for the stakeholders that you're communicating with. I had a tough time talking. I don't know Mandarin. I was working on a project with TCS China. I didn't know Mandarin. I could not survive in the project. If I had to survive or progress, I had to learn Mandarin. I said I don't have time enough to learn Mandarin, so I dropped it. So communication is one important aspect for sure. वो डिपेंड करता है आपको कितनी इंग्लिश सीखनी है. शशि थरूर बनना है कि नॉर्मल भी चल जाएगा, तो है इंपॉर्टेंट, बट इतनी नहीं कि स्ट्रेस मत लो यार मुझे इतनी अंग्रेजी आनी चाहिए. I didn't know English when I started. I come from a hospitality background. My father used to run a hotel business. मैंने जिंदगी भर गल्ले पे ही बैठा था, तो मेरी इंग्लिश तो कभी सीखी नहीं थी. तो सीखते सीखते सीखोगे, बट अभी शायद इंपॉर्टेंट है बिकॉज यू स्टार्ट वर्किंग विद मल्टीनेशनल्स. So learn English that much that you can communicate with the सामने वाला. That's one. Common sense important. It's applicable for everyone because most of the stuff is common sense. Okay, and unfortunately it's not very common in India. But focus on common sense. Third, you're dealing with people. Never forget you're dealing with people. So emotions will play a huge role. But the same thing we just said that as an HR, you have to maintain a personality which is suiting the situation. I maintain two personalities. Let me be very honest and candid. I maintain two personalities. I am a hardcore introvert when I get back home. Hardcore introvert. I don't attend weddings. I don't attend social functions. I don't remember the last time I attended any wedding. The last wedding was my own wedding, is all I remember. Because after 5 days of socialization, मुझे नहीं चाहिए किसी से मिलना. But that's me. But when I am outside, imagine an introvert talking to 200 people right now, but you have to get into a personality. That's with everyone. They say that get your real self to office. That's bullshit. You get my real self, I'll be bashing 2 people every 2 minutes. So you can't do that. So you have to maintain a personality to suit the situation. If a person is crying, stay there. Be with him. Don't give gyan there. Usko samjho. Common sense, communication, maintain a personality, and technically अगर मैं जाऊँ तो you should know the law of the land. It's important to know the law of the land. When I say law, I'm talking about labor laws and everything. If you want to get into labor law, because one simple mistake by you can shut the shop, can shut the entire company. So you have to be very careful in knowing the law of the land. Does that answer your question? Thank you. There's no straightforward answer to that question. Okay.
Can we just stop with the Q&A session as we are running out of time? Sir, I love the terminology law of land. मतलब ये है कि आप जहाँ कहीं भी जाओगे हर एक जगह का लॉ अलग रहेगा. That was a very warm thank you to Mr. Pranav Shetty. A round of applause for such an insightful and thought-provoking session. Sir, your deep expertise, real-world experiences and engaging delivery have truly added immense value to our understanding of how HR can be a strategic driver in building empowered and people-focused organizations. On behalf of everyone present here, we extend our heartfelt gratitude for you. I would like to invite on stage Dr. Neelam Kshatriya to give token of appreciation to Mr. Shetty. Thank you once again for your valuable time and for sharing your journey and expertise to us with today. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. We are having 2 minutes break time. Meanwhile, those who are having emergency, please. Otherwise, our guest has appeared, right? They are just waiting for us. And request for everyone to please fill feedback form. Just 2 minutes break. Please come back soon.
बता